So by now we've all heard the story of actor Jussie Smollett, who has been allegedly attacked by Trump supporters in Chicago. Media was pushing this story really hard, but looking at the evidence, every normal person figured out that this was a total hoax. The story didn't make any sense from the beginning. Trump supporters attacking black actors in Chicago and telling them that this is a MAGA country, yelling at him a bunch of profanities, and all this happening in Chicago, which is, by the way, one of the most liberal cities in the USA. I mean, Trump got something like 15% of the votes in Chicago, so by any stretch of the imagination, Chicago is not a MAGA city. Not to mention that at the night this alleged incident happened, Chicago was freezing. And to think that a bunch of Trump supporters are going around the streets of Chicago waiting for this C-list celebrity acting in a little-known all-black show that is definitely not aimed at Trump supporters and wanting to harm him is just ridiculous from the beginning, and anybody who could believe this is deliberately lying. And by now, we all know that this story is fake. It's even official now. Police are investigating the possibility that Jussie Smollett staged this attack. Police are saying this attack absolutely didn't happen. Rob Eagles, a reporter at ABC7 in Chicago, reported Thursday afternoon that multiple sources said Smollett and the two men staged the attack because his character was being written off of the show. So that means is that Jussie Smollett completely faked this hate attack just to get some publicity because his character was being written off the show and he was losing his job. Anyway, let's look at Tucker Carlson's commentary over this whole incident and what he has to say about it.
It's been 2 weeks now since actor Jussie Smollett said that he was attacked in a racially motivated hate crime outside his apartment in Chicago. So far, police have not found the perpetrators. They have not found videotape of the perpetrators in a neighborhood festooned with CCTV cameras. And they have rejected the phone records that Smollett gave them, saying that they are heavily redacted and insufficient. Some other parts of the story are coming under fire as well tonight. Trace Gallagher has been following this investigation and joins us with the latest. Trace?
Hi, Tucker. In his first interview since he was allegedly attacked, Empire star Jussie Smollett emotionally told Good Morning America that he's, quote, pissed off. Watch.
What is it that has you so angry? Is it the attackers?
It's the attackers, but it's also the attacks.
Meaning those who are now skeptical of his story. Smollett claims that 2 weeks ago he went to a 24-hour Subway sandwich shop near downtown Chicago, and on the way home, two men shouting racist and homophobic slurs beat him up, poured bleach on him, tied a string noose around his neck, and yelled, "This is MAGA country." Chicago police have said his story is credible, but so far have been unable to find any supporting evidence. They do have surveillance video showing Smollett before and after the alleged attack, but nothing of the attack itself, and no video of any suspects. Smollett claims during the attack he was on the phone with his manager, but when he finally turned over his phone records, Chicago police rejected them because they were heavily redacted. That's key because the manager says he heard the attackers shouting homophobic and racial epithets. Smollett says the records were blacked out to protect the privacy of his contacts. Initially, Smollett really received outpouring of support, but one of his neighbors now tells our corporate cousin in the New York Post he doesn't believe him because half the neighborhood is gay, the other half is black. Tucker.
Thanks a lot, Trace. Yep. Well, it's looking increasingly possible that the attack you just heard about may not have been the attempted lynching it has been hyped as, but it doesn't matter. It's too late now. To those who only casually follow the news, they will hear only the press's initial breathless coverage, which treated the incident as an obvious hate crime. Yet another consequence of Donald Trump's America, another Trump voter bashing someone on the street. Some parts of the media are still treating the story that way, despite what we have learned in the last 2 weeks. A recent piece in the online website, apparently, Daily Beast, argued that we should believe Smollett on the basis of his skin color. Well, that sort of openly racist, politically motivated journalism is increasingly the norm. Covington worked the same way. Supposedly, we could tell that a few high school boys were evil because of the way they looked, and the way they smiled, and the way their parents presumably voted. Or take a look at BuzzFeed's supposed smoking gun of the president ordering his lawyer to lie to Congress. There was no proof it was true. There never was any proof of it. But because it matched an established narrative, everybody knew what to call it.
This would be certainly a bombshell information.
BuzzFeed's latest bombshell report.
The White House is slamming a bombshell report by BuzzFeed.
With a bombshell report from BuzzFeed.
If the BuzzFeed bombshell is true.
Bombshell report.
Thesaurus, please. Dumb people have a weakness for news cliches. It's unbelievable. Stuff like that happens every couple of weeks, but nobody in the press ever seems to learn or change. Why is that? Joe Concha writes about this stuff for a living for the Hill newspaper, and he joins us tonight. So, Joe, I'm recognizing a repetitive pattern of behavior where people who are supposed to soberly digest the facts and bring them to the public are instead jumping to wild conclusions that comport with their political beliefs and then not apologizing or changing. Why is that?
Because, Tucker, how do you learn from when you're a little kid all the way through when you're an adult with a career? You learn by being held accountable for things. No, so if you make a major mistake, and it's funny because we talked about this, the mistakes are never made. Let's put it this way. When was the last time you ever saw a major mistake in any big journalism piece by any big outlet against a Democratic lawmaker? But when mistakes are made, there's never, almost, with exceptions, ramifications, suspensions, actual firing. So if you know you can get away with something, you just keep doing it. But one thing I'm noticing with this story here, Tucker, is if you Google Jussie Smollett and attack, almost every headline I see says attack. There is no word, it's very key here, before it, alleged attack. When you take alleged out, it becomes fact, like Pearl Harbor was attacked. When you take alleged out, suddenly it becomes absolute truth. So in this case, let's put it this way. If I'm a journalist, I remove the noise here. I remove the fact that Smollett's a celebrity. I remove the fact that he's anti-Trump. That's not a big surprise. I remove the fact that these were pro-Trump alleged attackers that went after him. And I want to find evidence to support the claim. How do you find the evidence? Smollett said he was on the phone during the attack with his manager. All right, so man says he was attacked by two men, right? So if he's on the phone, then therefore he should turn over his phone records. When he does, he heavily redacts them. And his excuse is that he doesn't want the Chicago police to see his contacts? Okay, how about the manager? Has he turned over his phone? Reportedly, he hasn't. So when you take that evidence out of this story, you have to question it. So when I watch that interview tomorrow with Robin Roberts on ABC, she'd better press him on that point. Yeah. Why wouldn't you turn over the only evidence that's available if we haven't seen this on camera?
She's not going to press him on the point. You can be sure. But let me ask you this. So I almost feel, it looks to me like maybe this guy got over his skis, made up the story. We've seen this a lot. Maybe it's real. I don't know. But I do know that two sitting U.S. senators, Harris and Booker, both immediately issued statements calling this a lynching. Now, that scares people. It divides the country. It's racially inflammatory. If it turns out this isn't real, should they be forced to apologize for doing that?
And the only way they'll apologize, Tucker, is if the press presses them on that. You made this comment. You read back the comment. Now we've learned, and again, we don't know, but let's say we do learn, what do you have to say now? You know that's not going to happen. And look, it's that theme that we talked about over and over again. All Trump stories, not all, almost all, come from a foundation of guilty. Whether that's, yes, Trump must have collusion with the Russians, therefore he's guilty. The Cummings kids must have attacked the Native American, therefore he's guilty. When you come from that foundation, of course these are the conclusions that are going to be drawn, Tucker.
That's exactly right. We've known this for generations. Any good editor makes certain that his reporters are honest enough not to act like this, but nobody cares anymore. No one's honest. Joe Concha, thank you. Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Intimate knowledge of the Jussie Smollett investigation tells CBS 2 investigator Brad Edwards the attack on Smollett was potentially orchestrated by the actor himself and involved two other men. Chicago police calling those reports unconfirmed. We've also learned the persons of interest worked on the actor's show. Only CBS 2 got a look at evidence obtained during a police raid. You can see investigators removed an Empire script, in fact. Our night team's Charlie DeMar broke the story at 6, and he's got even more exclusive details tonight. Charlie.
Rob, good evening. And we are being told that those two brothers who are currently in police custody left for Nigeria the same day of that alleged attack. They returned last night only to be detained at O'Hare Customs. Today we spoke exclusively with the attorney for those two men. She tells me that after talking with Chicago police detectives that her two clients, those two brothers, could be charged as soon as tomorrow. The front door busted off its frame, belongings thrown across the living room. Take a walk upstairs, bedroom doors damaged and clothes tossed everywhere. It's the family home of two brothers now in police custody.